All right, guys, welcome back to the Reel Down Monday night on live. We're missing Dan tonight. He had a couple things to take care of, so I actually got a special guest host, awesome guy, killer angler. We've had him on a couple times recently, and he does really good every time he's on the podcast. So we figured we'd bring him in here to quiz these guys. So here's Adam Reiser. What's up, man?
Howdy, happy Monday, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah. Happy is not a good no. Ready
Long
for
time no
Tuesday.
see.
Yeah, no, it's been like a whole week, man. And you've been making your rounds on the pod.
Apparently, I'm doing all of the year's podcasts in 1 week is how it's looking like. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
A resident now.
Well, welcome. You get to do it from the other end of it. This will be fun.
I can put some question marks into what I say. Yeah.
Yeah. We usually get us with some questions of your own when you're on, so it works out. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. It was kind of short notice.
Sure.
We've been thinking about it, but for everybody else, for giving everybody a few minutes, we've got some viewers, and if you can, share it up, let everybody know that we're live right now. We got the Georgia Bass Nation State Championship, I think is how they put it. It's the Bass Nation qualifier for 2021. So without further ado, we're going to start Adam in here. We got Mr. Freddie Garza, that's the director for Bass Nation for the state. What's up, Freddie?
How's it going, guys?
And then we got Mr. Jason Alford.
There we go. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Tom Kazmierski and Dylan Lowery. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm Dylan. Welcome.
They put y'all in the backwards order I was going for, but whatever. You're all here. What's up?
That's impressive. 6 strong tonight, huh?
Yeah. This is the first time I've done this by myself with this many people, so I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance if I start throwing people out and in and around. But we'll get it going. So what's up, guys? Thanks for coming on. Y'all all qualified for hopefully one of the biggest events we got going on next year. Looking at the numbers, y'all all did really good. So we're going to start with Freddie. We're going to let Freddie talk about what this was, because this is still kind of new. I did one down here in Alabama in August. But Freddie, if you want to just give us a brief intro on who you are and what this event was and means.
Sure. Freddie Garza, I'm tournament director for Georgia Bass Nation Kayak Anglers. This year with bass kind of entering our community, we had an opportunity to kind of do what we wanted, but given the restriction of time and everybody's schedules being out, Georgia opted to just have a state championship this year. So we held it this past weekend, and we qualified five guys, and we'll be sending them to Texas in March. So we're excited about it. I was really overwhelmed with the amount of support we had from the Georgia kayak community and everybody that showed out. We had some really, really good anglers out there this weekend on a lake that hadn't been fished on any tournament trail this year. So that was kind of intentional, but the guys really showed out and showed us what they were made of. So I think it was a great weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we look forward to starting up our trail here in the spring.
Heck yeah. We're so what lake you said, you chose a lake that wasn't fished by any of the trails. Where were y'all?
We're at Lake Sinclair.
Awesome.
And what's the reputation for Sinclair for someone that's never heard of it but maybe has a familiarity with bass fishing in general? What's the reputation for that lake?
Well, I think I'll let one of the guys kind of talk about it, but from what we had, as far as research going into it, I'd never fished it. It was one of those lakes that I was curious about. I hadn't heard much of, but the lake I think is known for a lot smaller fish. There's a lot of grass, a lot of structure there.
Okay.
The guys were definitely challenged with some of the weather that we had leading up to the event. I think it changed some patterns, and the guys really had to put in the work, and it was a real grind. I was talking to quite a few of them leading up to the tournament that were pre-fishing out there, and they were getting very creative and trying to find different locations that would work, and ensuring that they were still staying within the regulations. So it made it interesting. I think leading up to the event, I'm like, I think we picked the right place. It's definitely going to show out the guys that put the preparation into being on top, and you got our 5. And I think, those 5 definitely put in the work to get it done, and they got it done.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely say you did a good job. You had more people come out to this than I did mine. You beat me by like 4 people, I think. So I'm a little jealous on that. And half of mine came from another state. So congrats to you on that. I'm going to have to fix that for next year. And then you touched briefly on y'all doing a trail series next year. Same. Most of the southern states are doing that. For anybody watching and listening, join your state bass nations. We're going to be doing big things next year. I know me and Freddie are going to try to work out a co-event at some point. We're going to try to have Georgia and Alabama combined on one. I think we're going to do the same thing with Tennessee. So, if you're not part of it or you're just not hearing about it, at least get on Facebook, look all these groups up, and follow the Bass Nation for 2021. So getting on from that, guys, let's start with Dylan. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, how you got in kayak fishing.
I got in kayak fishing in 2016. My buddy Shane Williams actually got me into it. Started fishing local club stuff around Columbus, Georgia, Lake Eufaula, West Point, and stuff like that. And just started getting my feet wet in the national events this year. Fished the Hobie BOS and the KBF National Championship, was the biggest event of the year. But
awesome.
Yeah, Freddie hit the nail on the head with Sinclair. It was tough. I pre-fished Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I did not find a constant pattern until 1:30 Friday afternoon. So,
cutting it down to the wire.
Yeah, I was pretty discouraged coming into it, but I was on cloud 9 when I shoot those 2 fish off Friday.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're glad to have you. So moving on to Tom. Tell us a little bit about you, man.
Very new to the sport. Started, I guess, back in February. Jamie Koza kind of approached me and said, hey, let's get back into fishing. I've been a glass boat guy for many years, fished a lot of big trails, had a lot of success there, and I guess kind of got bored with it and life happened. So kayak scene's been something new to me, kind of revived my fishing passion. And started out, fished Hobie Boss at Seminole and then fished the BASS at Logan Martin. But really enjoying it. It's totally different. So much to learn, so many new challenges. Good Lord, hats off to these guys that have been doing it for years and doing it well. It's been a struggle for me from learning how to net fish, and I call it all my buddies. I tell them, I said, I'm fishing in jail because it's such a small little area.
It's definitely a big change.
Yeah, but I love it. The dugout guys are the ones that kind of got me into it. They were started early on talking about building something and trying to grow it, kind of getting on the ground floor of a sport that's up and coming. A lot of people have been doing it for a long time, but obviously this year it's just exploded from what I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
The new trails coming on board, people getting really involved. So I've tried to fish when I can. I got 2 kids in sports. It's hard for me to get out. So when I can, it's enjoyable. But, the people I've met in this sport, the camaraderie, everybody's just very open, sharing, super nice. Went to Sinclair with Clint and Andy Middleton, Clint Henderson and Andy Middleton.
Heck yeah.
We stayed in a little cabin together. Had no time on the water. I fished Sinclair tons years ago, back in some trails with Dylan's dad and some other of the greats that are well known for Sinclair in glass boats. But little place we were staying, I walked down to the cabin and walked out on the dock Friday afternoon before the check-in, and I saw 3 and 4 pounders just running up and down the bank, kind of cruising along, and I was like, seems like maybe a good place to start. And went in there first thing, and it worked out. So
that's awesome.
It's kind of a unicorn, just got lucky. But just glad to be here. This is huge. Can't wait to go to Texas and hang out with these guys and see what Georgia can do, on the big stage.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I have to touch on it before we get to Jason real quick. You said you fished the Bass Nation event on Logan Martin.
I did.
How'd you do?
So I had 4 fish. I had a
better than me.
decent showing. I'm not, I'm not a river fisherman. I'm a largemouth fisherman. I like to get shallow, not in the river sense, but I had a rough day of losing fish.
Me too.
Yeah, the netting of fish in a kayak is an art that I've yet to master. And I was fishing in less than 3 foot of water on flats, shallow cranking all day. I knew I was going to get 6, maybe 7 bites. Add those 6 or 7 bites, and things didn't go my way. I think I had 70 something inches, so I think I was like in maybe the top 30 ish.
Yeah, I was going to say it took. Because I think it only took like 87 to win that tournament. So
I just needed one more fish, and I chose to do what I did, and I stand by it.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. So Jason, tell us about you, man.
Well, first, let me just say, Logan Martin, that was some of the most challenging conditions I've ever fished.
Agreed.
I'm just glad that we can all agree on that, because I was in the same boat Tom was. I had never fished a Carolina rig out of a kayak, and netting fish with a 4-foot leader was not happening. So, and that's how I lost most of my fish. But yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Clint Henderson and I had pre-fished, and we had gone all over the lake, and we decided the night before, hey, let's float this creek. And that creek is about 1,200 cubic feet per second. We got up the next morning, it was like 7,500. And so we're like,
you floated it at 10 miles an hour.
I did it. I hit 10 miles an hour in the kayak at one point going down.
Awesome.
Yep.
That was a true deluge as far as like amount of rain that just never ceased. For as many times as I've been out there for events, tournaments, or whatever, that I've never talked to more anglers that had their rain gear fail than that event. I knew it happened to me.
I will not ever use that brand again for that fact.
I don't know if any brand could have helped in that rain.
That's how
I know of 2 guys that had 2 different brands on that stayed dry all day. And
okay.
Yeah.
We needed to talk.
Yeah. Right.
I'm still trying to get that sponsor for the show, because my God knows I need that freaking gear.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, congrats to all 3 of you guys. I mean, winning at any level is a big deal, but especially the state championship this time of year. I fished a local small tournament on Saturday, and was that weather front moving through for you guys on Saturday as well? Mid tournament, had it moved through yet? What weather were you guys experiencing down there?
It was pretty stable for us. I think on the drive home is when I hit some major weather.
Okay. It hadn't quite hit you guys yet, though.
No.
But overall, I would think, even not knowing much about the lake, I'm guessing you guys were up against some tougher conditions coming into it. Sounds that way by practice a little bit, too, that you had to work for some bites. Is that the case?
That week before, it was definitely a huge weather front had come in the week before, so I don't know if that affected it. A week later, but yeah.
Are you guys, what species is this a straight largemouth thing that you guys are dealing with on Sinclair, or is it you got spots or other things to deal with?
There's been a few spots caught here and there, not very many. It's predominantly largemouth.
That's what it'll take to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Large ones, okay.
Adam's taking notes as well as asking y'all questions. That way he can come down.
Because you never know. I may end up picking Sinclair going up against you guys. So I need to pick your brains now in case I'm got to get down there myself.
I think Sinclair is historically known as a January to May lake. That's when all the big tournaments are there, and there's some big catches that get caught. A lot of big fish. I felt like this tournament. Even though we're in the month of October, I feel like here in Georgia, we're still in September, weather-wise. And, Saturday morning, it was just slick. It's one of those conditions where you're like, man, there's just not a lot moving, no wildlife up on the bank really running around from where I was, but just a kind of a dead calm before the storm, because we definitely – I know Jason and I drove home through some pretty serious Atlanta traffic.
Well, I'd be curious to hear some of the approaches that you guys took. Dylan, what did you do? Let's see. I don't have the numbers, or I can have the numbers here in front of me. Dylan, you had 83 inches. It was just one day, 5 fish, correct, guys? That's what you had. What did you do to get 83 there? All your fish look to be right about 16 to 17 plus there. Dylan, what did you figure out?
Yeah, so I started in practice on the main lake, and I think the main thing that was killing me was they were spraying hydrilla everywhere.
Wow.
So I had to make a exit. So I just started thinking, I was like, where can I go? There's no grass, no pressured fish. Sinclair's a pretty pressured lake. I went 7 miles up a creek.
Okay.
And it's very narrow. Left bank was maybe 8 inches deep at the most, but the right-hand bank had about 6 feet of water on it for about 4.5 miles.
Nice.
And I went through in the morning, and I caught all my fish on a swim jig, and that bite died off at about 11 o'clock. And I started to panic because I did not have a kicker fish, and I shook 2 kicker fish off Friday, and that's what had me so jacked up about that spot. About, I don't know, maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, I just, I used to fish with my granddad a lot, and his main thing was flipping a jig, and I could just hear him in my head say, boy, if you would just pick up a jig, start flipping around stumps and blowdowns, you'll get it. So I picked up a jig, and on the first cast after that, I caught that 17-incher. And it was just over from there. It was like every piece of wood I flipped by, I caught a fish. I just couldn't get that big bite.
What's your go-to flipping setup, if you don't mind? Rod, reel, line, jig, everything.
Well, my swim jig rod is a 7.6 heavy moderate by Impulse. It's awesome, man. I swim jig coming over blowdowns. They come up and get it and try to dig back down pretty quick. And
oh yeah.
I have a buddy that makes my swim jigs with a really thick hook. There's not a lot of flex to it, so I cross their eyeballs when they come up and hit it and try to be coming back to the kayak as quick as I can. That rod's just perfect for it. And my jig rod's a 7.3 heavy moderate by Impulse. And it's extremely sensitive, just enough play in the tip. It's A1. I couldn't ask for a better rod. Lance Stringer and Brian Hastings have been really good to me since I started kayak fishing and started working with them, and couldn't ask for better people.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, man, it was fun after about 1 o'clock. It started heating back up.
And you gotta love when you can start flipping, getting your little flipping bite going too. Especially in like what you're talking about, in a narrow area. I love when I can find a narrow creek that's got that one deep side that just seems to stay consistent.
Did you have any company back there in that creek?
No, I don't think anybody else wanted to put in the work that I did to get down the hill and back up and all that throughout the day. It was rough.
What kind of boat you in?
What was that?
What kind of boat you in?
I'm in a Hobie Pro Angler 14 with 360 drive.
There you go. I see all the dugout hats across the board here. I figured that we got a bunch of Hobie guys in here.
The dugout crew almost had a clean sweep of the top 5. We were missing 4th place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, still
Jamie's
impressive.
putting together a team, man. Like dugout went from like you didn't hear about it to like that's all I hear now, which is fine. I mean, it's great to hear. Like perfect time. We lost hook one and dugout exploded. So
yeah, they do a lot for this community. They're some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
Heck yeah. I haven't even got to meet Jamie, but I know tons of people that would do anything for the guy and say that he would do the same. I hear nothing but good about Jamie and those guys.
It seems to be the consensus. Tom, looking at your limit here, tied Dylan at 83 inches, but I'm looking at these fish right now. Your fish look a lot different than his. You want to talk about that and how you got a 21-incher as your kicker there? It's a big one.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I went into this event. I'm kind of one of the old buzzbait guys. I plan on throwing a buzzbait start to finish. Staying shallow, got out that morning, threw a buzzbait for the first 45 minutes. Water was just slick as glass. I actually switched over to a Rico Popar, trying to see if I could get something to smash it, and just nothing going on. I pulled out a old wacky rig. June bug worm on a wacky rig and started making long casts. I'd seen the fish just kind of, roaming. Every once in a while they would fire up on the bank, So I knew they were in the area. I was in Beaver Dam, I think is what a lot of the locals call that area. It's the old warm water discharge for the power plant. It's shallow primarily. There's a few channels in there over near the old power plant, but a lot of it's just flats. And I got way back in those flats and just fan casted. I caught that 21 incher was my first fish. Kind of gave me a little momentum. Lost a couple of good fish. My typical netting escapades that I have in the kayak. I don't
got to
know
go
what
with the old boat flip sometimes. I've boat flipped some stupid size fish to the point where it's like, I know I'm going to lose it if I net it, so I'm just going to break my rod and get it in the
Jimmy, I think you're right because that net dips in the water, and I swear it weighs like 1,000 pounds. I'm like, oh God, trying to pull it out of the water. I'm like, so some buddies of mine were telling me about wooden nets. I may give that a shot, but I love to boat flip them, so maybe that's what
I boat flip them, grab the line with my hand. I've just about given up. I like my net, and occasionally I can do it, but for the most part, I just swing. Hope it comes in the boat.
Hit a few more Red Bulls in the gym, maybe see what I can do about getting that net a little better. But I was fishing with a spinning rod, so I was making long casts. I'm a Loomis guy. Have been for a long time.
Never mind. I retract my statements. Breaking one of your rods can be a deep pocket. Just
yeah, they don't break. I've had good success with my rods. I throw all the NRX rods now. I feel like it's just a different feel. And then I'm a Shimano guy. Actually, my spinning reels are all Daiwa, but I'm an old Daiwa guy for the drag. So
they got great drag.
Yeah, the saltwater guys get it, right? But just throwing that wacky rig around, I could see a couple of stumps out there. Every once in a while, I'd stand up and I would see almost look like dock stumps, dock posts cut off in the water. And that's where I caught all my fish. I caught a ton of 13 inchers. Like I said, I had I had one I think that was probably 3.5, 4, and then another 2.5 plus that, just didn't get them in the net. So, and I kind of did like Dylan did. About noon, I abandoned that water because I felt like the sun was too high. We had a lot of sun, towards the day, and then the clouds came in right as we got off the water. Really, I feel like. But I went out to some docks and started flipping. I love to flip a jig, and flipped a jig way up under a dock on a stump I saw, and my line jumped 6 feet, and it was a flathead catfish about 3 pounds, just big enough to fool me into thinking he was a bass. But that was my day. It was a tough day. Sinclair's one of those lakes that I feel like it didn't hurt us all too bad, but I do feel it is a great lake. It's got a lot of big fish in it, and they didn't show out like they could have. But once again, we're in September here in Georgia. Sure. This is not typical October weather for us.
Sure.
Right.
But Tom, what buzzbait were you throwing that you were hoping to throw all day?
And I'm as Jamie and them will tell you. So I grew up with the dugout guys. I've known those guys since I was a kid. Craig and I played soccer together, and when we were young. But I throw an IMA buzzbait. It's kind of off the beaten path. A lot of people don't know about it. It squeals. It squeals like a pig, which is that's what I want my buzzbaits to do.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the most impressive buzzbaits I've ever thrown. But that's what I threw. And then the worm I was throwing was a net bait T-Mac June bug, and just a June bug's a great color on Sinclair. It usually catches some fish.
I don't usually hear a lot of guys going with the net bait stuff anymore. I used to, when I grew up, net bait everything was the deal.
Right. So I literally walked in the dugout Friday afternoon to pick up a banner to get to Freddie, and Garrett, one of the guys behind the counter, he goes, Mr. Kazmierski, they got net bait again. I was like, oh man, I hadn't thrown this in forever. That pork fat, man, that stuff's money.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over and I was looking. I was like, oh, June bug. Hell, I'm going to Sinclair. I'll grab a pack. And threw it in my. I grabbed one pack. I was worried I was going to run out. I was like, oh man, because they were slinging it off every time they jumped. But yeah, it was kind of weird. I haven't thrown net bait in a long time. You know, it's a Logan Martin killer. I mean, it used to be one of the. It used to be one of the biggest baits over there. So yeah, it's funny. You know, you don't hear that bait anymore, but they've rebranded, you know, their packaging and stuff. But still the same bait. I mean, it's got the pork fat in it, and fish hold on to it. It's good stuff.
Well, and now they are officially sold out everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, no, that net bait's good stuff. I wish a lot of their discontinued stuff could magically reappear. A few of those items, but I understand why they had to disappear at the same time too. Well, good fishing, Tom. Good info there. Now you mentioned a second ago. You said Sinclair has some good sized fish. I looked at the overall scores, and if I counted right, 9 bass were caught in your tournament that were 20 inches or plus, and a few of those definitely cured the 20 well. Several 21-inch fish. One of those was caught by Jason, in addition to a handful of other solid fish to give you 91.25 inches for the win there, Jason. Talk about it, buddy. How did this happen? How did you get 91 in a tough transition time of year?
Well, I knew what was on the line, so I decided to take 2 days to go down and pre-fish. So I drove down Thursday morning, and the first area I'd stopped at, it reminded me of back home. We have a place here that I thought I was home. So I put in there and just ran around, and I was catching fish left and right there. And Thursday, I stuck a few just to see. And the problem was the biggest I caught was a 17 there, but I knew I could catch fish. And between Thursday and Friday, I launched at 7 different ramps and drove by 3 others just to, you know, check them out, and eliminated 3 without putting in. But spent daylight to dark Thursday and Friday on the water, and I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I was hearing talk of all these people putting up 90 inches practice and all these big fish, and I knew I didn't have it. So Saturday morning, my plan, I rigged up 2 different systems, basically, one for real muddy, shallow water, and one for clear water, clean water. And my plan was to go to that first area that I'd pre-fished, because I figured I could catch about 75 inches there. And I was going to try to get 75, and then I was going to move and just go swing for the fences for some calls. So during pre-fishing on Thursday, I'd found a one-eyed 17-inch bass, and he was in about 6 inches of water, up against a bank. There was a little pocket up under the bank, so he was tucked up in there. So I figured in muddy water, a one-eyed bass, I can go catch him. You know, he's not going to go far. I threw in there, skipped a jig in there, and caught a 12-inch. So it's like, this sitting good. So, and that's all I had for the first hour. And I was literally packing up, and I'd put all my rods up, and I still had one rod, and I was just like, looked over, and I was like, I made one cast, and I caught a 21. So I knew right then I wasn't going anywhere. So I was actually headed back to the truck when I caught that. So basically, I found an area that I had to myself. It was just way back in a cove, and it was access to deeper water, but it came up. There's a shelf, a little creek channel that was like 3 foot deep. And I basically all day just went back and forth over about a 75-yard stretch, just down and back. And every time I'd catch at least one, and throwing a buzz bait all day. Sorry, Tom.
Buzzer got him.
Yeah. I caught, I'd have to pick up other baits and just weed through here and there. And I caught a couple on chatterbait and a square bill and a jig, but the buzz bait was in my hands all day. At the end of the day, I put everything else up. So It was just one bait all day pretty much.
And what's your go-to buzz bait setup?
For this tournament, I used a War Eagle, the buzz toad, and I use a Zoom horny toad on it. So I like that bigger blade. It doesn't squeal as much, but that's what I used last year in the state championship, and it did well for me. So I did it again this year. So
I mean, it works. Apparently,
I've gotten to where I don't even use anything but toads on the buzzers now. How about you, Tom? Do you stick a toad on that one? Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom horny toad. Man, it's amazing. You don't even need a trailer hook. They eat that bait so well.
Agreed.
Compared to a skirted buzz bait. Good Lord.
If you look at my last fish that I called was an 18 1/4, and if you look at that thing, it's bleeding, and that was on a buzz bait. He had it choked, and I didn't have a trailer hook on. I never used a trailer hook on that buzz bait.
I'm curious, so all three of you guys, your opinion on this. Trailer hooks, be it buzz baits, spinner baits. I personally go with the theory, if they ain't eating it good enough to where I got to worry about a trailer hook, I'm not throwing the right thing, and I'll change the baits entirely. Maybe not, like if it's a spinner bait, I may go something close to a spinner bait, but I'd rather not deal with a trailer hook that impedes the action and just makes me think they're not getting it as good. Do you guys go with trailer hooks on lures that you can't add them, or do you guys?
What I try to do is
on that.
So like a spinner bait, let's say, like on the buzz bait, if I can get away with it, I'll never throw a trailer hook on a buzz bait. But on like a spinner bait, if they're swiping at it but not getting it, I'll just try to change the color. So I'd rather change the color and still throw the same bait because I know they're coming after it. But just give them a little something else. Maybe they'll hit it a little harder.
Cool. Dylan, how about you? You throw that buzzer much, the spinner baits or anything like that?
I walked on you a little bit, Adam. I didn't hear who you asked.
Dylan. I was asking Dylan if he what he does for trailer considerations.
The rare occasion I do throw a spinner bait, I usually slap a trailer hook on there, but
right.
I'm more of a chatterbait guy, and I haven't thrown a buzz bait in probably 5 or 6 years.
All right, yeah, this doesn't apply.
Usually, frog and a water flopper are my two go-to top water baits.
Yeah, you don't need a trailer hook for those. Those get it done.
I wish I had another set of hooks on a frog though. When you have one, when you're fishing the slop and they miss it and blow it out of the water, in my head I'm like, I should just slap an extra set of hooks on that somewhere. It'll work.
Yeah, I had that happen to me at Gunnersville at the national championship. I saw a fish swirl under a dock and I skipped a frog under there, and I swear I don't know how that fish missed it. It had to have been centimeters that she didn't get it. But.
Well, I have them Gunnersville. You'll have those close misses like that. And then I have sometimes I just think it's an extremely stupid fish. He'll miss it by 3 feet. Like I'll throw it here and he'll blow up over there. I'm like, what? Hey, over here. Like, come get this frog, please.
Yeah,
what about you, Tom?
That's a one-eyed bass that he saw. Those are the ones that are missing by 3 feet.
Yeah, that could be it. What about you, Tom? You like trailer hooks on anything?
It depends on I'm a big spinnerbait guy. In fact, the jackhammer's not been nice to me. So I still live and die by my spinnerbaits. I build my own. If I'm fishing shallow, Indiana blades and Colorados and stuff like that, and fishing cover, heavy stuff, a lot of times I don't use a trailer. Here in Georgia, we have a lot of spotted bass lakes, Lanier, Altoona, same with Logan Martin, lakes like that. If I'm open water fishing a spinnerbait for spots, big spots, I'm putting a trailer on it. I like the G-stringer from Yamakatsu, the little rope style. That thing's brutal. But I leave it up to the conditions I'm fishing. Typically shallower fish around, dirty water, around brush and stuff, where I'm fishing for largemouth primarily, or fish that are just eating it better. But in open water, you get a lot of fish that just don't commit on a bait well, and it's a reaction bite. So they're going to swat at it. I use trailer hooks in those scenarios. It just depends on what I'm doing as to whether or not I have one on there.
I feel you. Freddie. I don't want to forget about Freddie. Outside of Freddie actually doing all these events and stuff. Freddie does fish. So Freddie, do
Man,
you like?
It's funny. I was like, oh yeah, you guys don't ask me any questions about fishing. It's been so dang long since I've been out. But
When was the last time you got to go out?
It's been a minute. Let me tell you. I was talking to a lot of people over the weekend, and actually, there was someone there that was looking at starting a club up in North Georgia, and he was talking to me about whether or not I fish these tournaments, and I kind of went through my whole gamut and story of putting away and giving up tournament fishing. Gosh, it's been over 3 years now. It's just with everything that I've got going on that I've enjoyed doing on the tournament directing side, it's just zero time for me to get out there and fish. But when I did, I always kept it simple. I as well am a big spinnerbait guy. But again, just kind of taking what's there. It depends on where I'm fishing and what that lake is showing me and what I'm going to throw for that particular day. But yeah, let's not talk about me and fishing because I'm starting to miss it right now. I've got
just a little.
Up, and I'm like, now that everything's over, I hope tomorrow I can get out and do a little bit. Michelle's sitting here next to me, and I haven't even told her that I'm trying to sneak away to get.
Hey, I was wondering where she is. She's the one usually doing everything.
Right, exactly. She's rusted too, man. Her and David. I can't thank enough for the help that they put out there and helped me get this tournament put together.
Heck yeah,
I'd like to take a moment real quick if I can steal a few minutes, but you guys mentioned him earlier, and Jamie Koza in the dugout. This tournament wouldn't have been what it was as far as what we were able to provide the anglers without those guys. Jamie really stepped up. When we got in contact with each other, he had what he wanted to see given to the anglers that participated in this event. And man, let me tell you, we were able to provide captain's bags for all 48 anglers that showed up this weekend. And
very cool.
It wasn't just any fluff captain's bag. He had some of the best baits in there, and I was really proud and honored that he was so supportive of what we were doing to do that, because it wasn't a cheap captain's bag, let's put it that way. He definitely went above and beyond, and I truly appreciate him stepping up. And we have another big sponsor in Automotion Customs with Shane Coulter. He stepped up as well and gave some really great prizes, and I just wanted to make sure that I took a moment to thank those two gentlemen for really supporting us. And
absolutely,
we're excited to have them going into next season as well. So.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no, Jamie's doing good stuff. He's sponsoring a lot of clubs and taking care of a lot of people. He's dugout too. And I just realized Adam's wearing a dugout hat too, man. Like, I feel left out. I need to give me a dugout hat.
Yeah, get with it. How many guys are because it sounds like Tom, it sounds like you're hopping in a kayak more and in the glass boat less. How many guys around the Georgia area are doing the same or have done the same? I've gone from the boat world to the kayak world. You guys know many?
Oh, that's how I got started. I got started fishing the BFLs in the ABA weekend series. I want to say I was around 16 or 17 when I started. And I don't know, kayak fishing's always been more of a challenge. And it's way different. There's a lot more time management involved. You can't just zip around what you got.
I love that. It makes you become a more thorough angler. You can still do some moving. I mean, I have a buddy that spot jumped like 7 times in one tournament and still did good. I don't know how he managed that. But like you said, some of these events on some of these bigger bodies of water, you have to commit to an area and just tear that area piece by piece apart till you figure it out, or completely flop. That usually what happens to me. I just don't pick the good areas when I fish tournaments. I have great pre-fishing. I'm kind of like Steve Owens. I can pre-fish. I can have great time coming up to it, and then tournament day just falls apart. So it's nice that I get to have you guys on and talk about it, because I'll never be on that end of it, because it just doesn't work out for me tournament day. So it's nice to hear all of y'all's great stories about how good you're doing and progressing in the sport.
Yeah, this is the best thing that's happened to me this year. It's been pretty tough.
Yeah, this year's been tough for a lot of guys with, COVID, yes, but for the most part, kayak fishing has found its way around that. But it's just been an overall just crazy year for everybody, period. It's, even guys that are having great years, like Russ and all those, they've had their challenges, and, it's just been insane. I am ready for this year to go away and see what 2021's got in store. Like Tom was talking about earlier, this year's been just a crazy growth year for the sport, and I don't see it slowing down any going into next season. Talking into next season, guys, what do y'all have planned? Are y'all doing national events next year? Are you gonna try to, re-up for the state again? Dylan, you want to tell us what you got planned for next year?
I'm going to focus most of my time on the Hobie BOS. AJ runs a great tournament trail, very, very put together. I'm going to have to miss a couple of them right off the bat, scheduled on my girlfriend's birthday, so I can't be putting the doghouse right off the rip. But she doesn't give me any lip the rest of the year, so she lets me go do whatever I want. So
just take her with you, man. Just.
I took her kayaking for the first time on the Okmulgee River, and if you've never been there, it's got a couple of pretty sketchy rapids, and I didn't consider that. She had never been in a kayak before when I took her down that stretch. Ooh. And we got to one of the rougher sets, and I was like, man, and I looked on Google Maps, and I was like, okay, there's a creek that goes around this. So we're going to take this creek that I've never been down before. It looks like there's a small shoal. We should be fine. That shoal was not small. I've been doing this since 2016. I started in Columbus around all that whitewater stuff, and it had me a little nervous. So she's been in a kayak with me like 2 times since then. So
ooh, yeah, not a good. I took my wife when I took her out on her first trip. We went the most boring, flat, just shallow water, just because I was worried about just throwing her in something like that and her hating me and kayaking for it. So I understand. So yeah, Hobie for you, man. I agree. They're good killer tournament series.
Yeah, definitely gonna fish the classic though. I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool.
Oh yeah, Texas. I mean, it's the land of giants out there. It could be crazy. I'm hoping that it sets up for, it heats up there kind of early like it did this year. Their pre-spawn times, usually come in kind of way earlier than we do. I think it could be excellent fishing for all these guys. I know I'm going to try to go out. I qualified our 5 guys from our state. I think I'm going to split the house with them and go out there. I probably won't, fish with them to get in their way, but I definitely think I'm going to use that as an excuse to go out to fish in Texas. Freddie, are you going to go with your guys?
I am. Yeah, I'll be there. Cool. Definitely for support. Looking forward to it. It's actually going to be going back home for me. It's about 3 hours away, so I'm going to look forward to seeing some family while I'm there and getting back on some Texas water.
Heck yeah. Well, Tom, what you got planned?
I've gotten a lot of lessons learned moving to Georgia. Let me tell you, it was a depressing first year, and I think that's what ended up leading me to tournament director. It's like, man, these guys are crazy out here. It's just too much work for me coming from Texas. But
you better watch out, man.
I've always said the waters here that these guys fish, it makes for a better angler. I mean, I can't say that enough. Not to downplay what we have there in Texas, but I do have to admit it is a little easier to find the big ones there. To
same with all you Florida people.
Like Georgia, you've got to put in the work and the time on the water for sure. So this weekend was no exception. I was really interested to see how we were going to end up result-wise with the guys because, there was a lot of challenges. We had, I believe there were 3 other decent-sized boat tournaments going out on the water that morning as well. But, the guys got in there and they found, their areas and they held strong. And it was pretty interesting to see, especially, being able to see on the backside and the locations of where the guys were at. I knew I was surprised to hear in a lot of them, and it was telling me that most of them were shallow, was because there wasn't, I didn't hear a lot of people having any issues with the boat traffic. So it was really interesting weekend from that aspect as well.
Well, Tom, what you got coming up next year?
Definitely gonna fish the Hobie Boss. Looking forward to some of those. Depending on what Bass does, I'll try to get in a couple of those if they got some in our area and I can get away from work and life in general. go hit some of those. I'm hoping, I think Jamie and crew and them have kind of done this tri-state tournament series they're doing now. I hope they carry it into next year. It's pretty awesome. You got weekly weigh-ins and stuff. Definitely enjoy that. It's small entry fee. You get to fish when you want. I mean, that's, talking about guys from glass boats and the whole kayak thing, to me, what it appeals to is tournaments like that where guys that, no matter what age you are, if you have young kids or kids that get into sports and family and life happens, and sometimes your job goes different directions, the ability to get out and fish, over a 5-day period and put together, your creel is huge. Because I know so many guys in the bass fishing world of glass boats that have come and gone due to sports or whatever, just because the tournaments are always on Saturday. They're always on a Sunday, or, I fished night tournaments on Altoona for years because Monday nights I was free. Right. So I really think some of these different style events in kayaking are really intriguing to guys that may not have the time to commit to, weekend trails and things of that nature. I think it's got just huge ability to grow, and I think it's pretty awesome. But I'm gonna definitely focus on Hobie and whatever bass puts out there, and may fish some of the other little smaller clubs around here. I fished a KBF, really enjoyed it. So far I haven't met anybody I don't like in kayaking. So it's like an awesome group of people, and it's a lot of fun to be in.
It's definitely different, You could probably name off quite a few people you don't like in the bass boat world. I know back when we were in that, I could tell you I could probably only liked one or two of them.
It happens, people get so competitive. And I don't expect people to share information. I get it. You work hard for what you got. Keep it tight to your chest, and do something good with it. But there's a lot of he's on my hole, blah blah blah, whatever. You don't see that in the kayak world. Clint and Andy and I sat there the other night, and we were all in similar areas, and kind of happened to know where Jason was going, and I was thinking, let's all just give each other a little space here, and go do what we do in the areas we're in. I'd actually pre-fished a couple of different areas before it. I had one day out there and hit a couple areas that I typically like to go, but after Clint was like, man, I'd like to hit this area, and I'm like, go for it, man. I'll park it in here, which worked out for me. But it's one of those deals where I don't know. It's a different sport to me. It's a different mentality out there amongst the anglers, and everybody at the ramps, fist bumping since COVID, but everybody's hanging out, congratulating each other. They do that in bass tournaments. It's not unheard of, but the bass
noticeable difference there, huh?
Intense.
Yeah.
So. Heck yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. Kayak fishing's way better. Take that, bass boaters. I'm trying to get you, Jason.
Oh, sorry.
Well, let me just give credit to one bass boat. During the tournament, I'm in this little shallow area, and it's real small. Like I said, I just spent all day going back and forth over about a 75-yard area. I could hear a boat coming, and I knew there was going to be some tournaments on the lake, and I'd seen some guys pre-fishing out of the bass boats. So I just knew they were coming from my area. And so I pedaled a ways to go meet them, and I just flagged them down and just asked them, hey, are y'all coming in here to fish? And they were just out there. It's just some young guys, and they were just out there, just in their boat. And so they weren't. And so I explained to them what I was doing, and I'm leading the tournament and what it was and all. And man, they couldn't have been more nice. So they were so respectful. We sat there for about 15 minutes. They were just so interested in my Hobie and how we score fish. So we did a quick 15-minute on the water demo. So
that's awesome.
Wow.
So not all guys in the bass boats are, and I know that's not what you're saying, but I got to give a shout out to those locals because they really showed me a lot of respect, and I appreciate that.
I really have. I was having a talk with one of my directors the other day about how I can honestly say I haven't had a bad, in the kayak, I haven't had a bad situation with a bass boater. I've had a lot of them come in and they'll buzz in close, and it's curiosity. Like they'll come in and wake me and then be like, dude, that thing's cool. Like, like you said, how do you score fish? And, I have to like put my attitude back up and be like, he didn't mean it. He didn't realize what he was doing. Yeah. Let's talk about it. I'll convert him out of the glitter rocket.
Now on our local lake.
I appreciate you mentioning that too, Jason, because so often we hear about the bad or negative encounter that a guy has on the water. I know personally, I've had way more positive encounters, especially the kayak boat thing. I've had way more positive encounters. So I think it's always good to acknowledge when you have that good encounter out there and, let the perception be known that that's the majority of what happens out there. We're all just enjoying catching some fish, or at least trying to. And I think too many times the hotheads like to talk about, throwing the lure at the boat and all that kind of. It's like, no one ever really does that for the most part, and you're probably trying anyway. Give acknowledge to the people that are friendly and do good things and good deeds and are, gentlemen out there in the water. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
I appreciate them.
All right.
Thank you, fellas. I won the tournament because you stayed off my spot.
Here's a quick question for everyone, real quick, going around the way. Are you going to be spending more time the next few months in the woods or in the water? Woods or the water? How about you, Jason?
Oh, I'm water. The colder it gets, the better our local lake gets.
Okay.
And we crush some giants up there, so I can't wait.
Everybody,
it's one of the most pressured lakes in the state, and so everybody gets in the woods, and there's a few of us that are just like, yes.
Yeah, me. Awesome. Freddie, how about you, bud?
Yeah, I'm kind of in line with Jason. This is actually my time. Take advantage while everybody is in the wood, and take advantage of the less pressure and go and enjoy some time on the water.
All right, Tom.
Same. I'll be on the water here in Georgia's precious winter months is when
his face lit up when you mentioned that. Like he looks excited about the cold weather. Like yes.
Yeah. Steve-O, if Steve-O's listening, he's gonna have some fishing buddies. That dude loves getting out there in the coldest time of year.
Yeah, well, I think Jason knows the great honey hole to go to in the winter, which it can hinge you some of the toughest days of your life, but it also can put a fish in the boat of a lifetime. I mean, it's the big ones bite in the winter here in Georgia. It's pretty special.
It's the same here in Alabama if you know where to go.
Yeah, I think I've heard about what you're referring to.
Come on down, Adam.
I'll do it. How about you, Dylan? You getting out in the woods, water? What's it going to be for you?
That's 100% water for me, especially with the Dugout Tri-State Series going on. It's a good deal. But I prefer fishing in the spring and summer more than winter. I don't like cold hands, but I'm gonna make it work.
Wow, it's a straight sweep of going fishing this fall on the panel here. Very interesting. Hey, I want to mention too. Y'all have already kind of touched on it a second ago. The Dugout Tri-State Series, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. Are all y'all in that right now? The October one? Are y'all all in that one? I'm in that one, and it doesn't look good going up against 100+ inches from several guys. Just going up against Georgia in general is always an intimidating thing. The October one's about to wrap up. Steve-O wanted me to get out there. The November one, go ahead and get signed up for that one. I believe that one's live on TourneyX.
And there's the link, Steve-O with perfect timing.
Personally, I don't know of a better month-long tournament that's been in existence that I've seen as far as what you can win, both based on what you catch and just by signing up some of the free giveaways there. It's super impressive, and they give weekly prizes in addition to the entire month. To just check it out on TourneyX. Just type in the word Dugout, and you'll find those listed there.
And that being said, Adam, real quick, Jason hit me up before this. Jason, you want to talk? Just you mentioned that you wanted to do a little giveaway, man. So talk about it.
Adam, you mentioned like the weekly giveaways. So, I mean, here we are, the the tournament's not over, and I've already won $300 just for being either in the lead or in second.
Beat that
at the end of a week. So
just pop your
I just
collar
gotta
a little.
No. I started strong. So, but one of the big sponsors is Branson Tractors, and when I got home, I had a $50 gift card in the mail from Steve-O that he had mailed from on behalf of Branson Tractors. So what I want to do is y'all figure out how to give this away for the November. I want to pay for someone's entry fee for that. And I want them to have this to spend on tackle, whatever they want. So
awesome. So what we're going to do for the people that are still watching, comment the word in the comments right now. And I'm going to randomly pick one because I've been paying attention to the comments and I don't know half of these people. So it's going to work out. So there's going to be no favoritism here because I know like Steve and Clint, and I'm not going to pick either one of y'all. So don't even try. So. But y'all just
I'll get it on if no one else does. That's really cool, right. Jason.
I mean, I'm gonna comment in if y'all don't hurry up. But I'll pick that at the end of the show, so everybody listening, comment in on it, and I'll pick one right after we go over our tournament recap. But that's awesome, Jason. Giving back. But
I mean, the amount of sponsor prizes that are given away in this tournament is just unreal. They've got
I've never seen anything like it.
And on top of the entry fees that will be given out at the end, you got 31 anglers that are qualifying for a championship where there's no entry fee on a yet named. They hadn't named the lake yet, so we don't know, but we know it's in the state of Georgia, Alabama, or Tennessee. There'll be no entry fee, and you're competing basically 1 out of 31, I think, for a chance at a Hobie. A Hobie Pro Angler 12 180 drive. So, I mean, what's not to like about that?
Right.
I was going to ask this earlier, and I want to hit it really quick before we get out of here. Are all of y'all in 360s?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
The hype is real.
It's like that boat's everywhere now. It's insane.
Let me just say
that when it came out with that price tag, I was like, no, you'll see a few of them. But
I feel like Hobie's going to start their production factory right there behind Koza's place, behind Dugout with as many as I heard he's moving through there. So,
yeah,
good for
you.
Everybody thinks of the Hobie, the Pro Angler. I always thought of it as just big water boat and all, but man, that thing this weekend shined in shallow water. And I fished one of my local rivers is Etowah River. And I never thought I'd own a Hobie until I was on the river with Clint Henderson and I saw the kick-up fins in action. And that's when the light went off that, this could work. But this weekend I would get up on a little 6-inch mud flat and I was able to just turn, that drive and flutter kick off of there while still making cast, so everybody thinks big water, but man, that thing shined this weekend.
I'm hearing it more and more. It's impressive. I'd like to see one running up shallow. I mean, I hear about it. I just want to see it. I haven't. Most of the guys I know with them are big water guys. They're getting out deep with it. I want to see one of the Hobies running in the creek.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I never would have thought a PA 14 would have been in a creek that I was in Saturday. But man, it outshined any kayak I've ever paddled. It was incredible.
Heck yeah.
Very, very cool to hear.
Well, guys, go ahead, Adam.
I wanted to touch on 2 more quick events just to make those aware of. Bass Nation Chickamauga coming up here real soon. You need to be a member of Bass by the November 5th or 6th, right around there. So if you haven't done that already, become a member, go through the process, and then you need to be signed up by the 7th? Yeah, November 7th. You need to be signed up for that event. That event is November 21st, but again, you need to be signed up by the 7th. Man, I got to think that the fishing is going to be a lot more improved than what it has been lately up there. So,
I think Chick's probably getting ready to turn on.
Yeah, so good time to get in there and try to catch a fish of a lifetime up there. And then Del Hollow, December 12th, correct? Yeah, December 12th. Got a Bass Nation event there too. we'll get more details on that. I don't think the Tourney X page is ready for that one, but go ahead and just mark that date on the calendars. December in Del Hollow, you want to be there. That is the time, like the cold, nasty time of the year. Perfect time to be there. So if we got
You're
some
gonna have
other
to talk me
fishermen,
into that one after my weekend at Del Hollow.
Oh, dude, I'll show you some photos of some brown fish that'll make you happy to show up and sign up for that one. But Chick, Del Hollow, and then the monthly dugout for the Tri-State, Tennessee, Alabama.
Yeah, get signed
Georgia
up for the November. It's coming up.
Or any guys traveling from out of state that's going to be fishing any of those events too, go ahead and sign up for that dugout one as well. Like, even if you don't end up submitting a single fish for it, you still stand a chance of winning something. So consider that. That's all I had to contribute to.
No, man. I appreciate you pointing all those out. Those are all great things, and maybe we'll see. Are any of y'all planning on fishing Chick, or are y'all going to stay in your state for the rest of the year?
I'm going to Del Hollow.
You want to Del Hollow?
December in Del Hollow is one of the most amazing things. You got to go there once fishing.
Tom knows what's up.
Yeah, dude.
Well, that's two of y'all, and I trust y'all already, so maybe I'm going to have to make that one.
It's a fun one.
It don't matter if it's snowing, sleeting. We've done it there. Those brown ones, they still bite. They like it. It's one of the few places where, like, the uglier the weather, it seems like the better the fishing can be that time of year. So.
Well, guys, man, I appreciate y'all coming on. We're gonna wrap up real quick. And what we like to do is we're gonna give each of y'all a chance to talk about any sponsors or people that you're thankful for. So we'll start with Dylan.
And turned around and caught the next personal best smallmouth at the Susquehanna. That is Biz Baits with the couple. That is probably the best trailer I've ever thrown on my jig. It's incredible. I caught all my fish on, let's see, second day at Gunnersville. Every single fish came on a jig with a cutter crawl on the back. Every day at the Coosa, I was throwing chatterbait with a cutter crawl on the back. Like I said, Kentucky Lake, Susquehanna. I mean, it's been incredible for me this year. And I want to thank Scylla Johnson and Jeff Little for talking me into getting a Torpedo. Helped me cover a lot of water to realize all my spots were dead on Sinclair this weekend. That 1103 is incredible.
Oh, you got the big one.
Yeah, and it's quiet. I love how quiet
how fast does that 1103 get that big old boat?
I got mine up to 6.4.
Good Lord, that's scooting it up. What's that boat, like 150 pounds or something like that? That's scooting.
I carry a lot of stuff with me too.
Heck yeah, man. Well, good job on the event. And I'm sure we'll have you back. What about you, Tom? Who do you want to thank?
I guess I'd thank Jamie Koza for getting me into this.
Definitely.
I was pretty much turned into a pond fisherman in my backyard and given up on tournaments as of last year. In November, Jamie got me back into it. So, I don't have a lot of sponsors. I've always just kind of fished out of my own pocket. But, I love Loomis rods. I just support everything Jamie and those guys do. And, when they get behind something and start bringing things to the table, good things happen. So seen them grow a lot of tournaments in my day on the other side of the thing. But that's about all I got to thank for it.
Heck yeah.
I don't know if I'm thankful or hating. My Advil intake's gone up a lot since this kayaking thing. But other than that, good.
What about you, Jason?
Well, first I got to thank my family, my wife. She's so supportive with just this hobby. And before this, I was big into backpacking and hiking, and she just knew that kind of refilled my batteries. And now kayak angling does that. So she's very supportive. So got to start there, of course. Well, need to thank Freddie for putting this on and his team, because, man, they did a great job. I want to mention Fishers of Men Kayak Fishing. That's a group that Clint Henderson started
yes, sir.
after his second place in the national championship. And there's a core group of guys, of course, Clint, Jamie, Alan, and Brian. Just what they're doing, kind of growing these young men and not just teaching them how to fish, but teaching them how to be good men, basically. it's really impressive to see, and it's refreshing to see. So got to give them a shout out. I know Steve has started kind of a chapter up at Chickamauga, and I think Matt Ball has started one. So it's kind of growing, and I'd love to see it continue to grow. Gosh, everybody at the dugout, Craig, Jamie, Steve, of course. I just accepted a position with them this last week, and I couldn't be happier.
Awesome.
I've been going down there for years, just to buy one jig from them. When I was looking at a Hobie, I was going to buy another one, and Jamie quizzed me some, and he knew the water I fished, the 360 was going to be what I needed. So he got to know what I needed and pushed me in the right direction. So I greatly appreciate that. It has definitely paid off and in the fish that I've been able to catch.
Literally catch checks.
Yeah. The other thing I like to say is congrats to Tom and Dylan, of course, for qualifying for Texas, but also got to mention Jason Broach and Clint Henderson as well, because those two guys are also going to Texas with us. So, and finally, I'm sure Freddie can speak more to it, but Georgia Bass Nation really stepped up big for us this year, because not only did we qualify, but the 5 of us have our entry fees paid. They're paying our gas and they're paying our lodging for the week. So, I mean, we're very, very thankful for all of that. So
that's awesome.
And thank you, and Jimmy and Adam and Daniel. Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, man. I'm so glad y'all could make it. Well, Freddie, I'm gonna let you close out the thank yous, and then I'm gonna have to talk to you about making me look bad with Georgia Bass Nation has y'all jumped way ahead of us, taking care of your guys. But good job, man. So thank it up.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, there are a few that I want to name off. Obviously, I named a few earlier, but I want to definitely thank Big Bear Rods and Rob Wimberly, Coyote Outfitters, Westbrook Supply Co., Southern Moon Outfitters for coming out and supporting, everything we're doing with Bass Nation as well. But, ultimately it boils down to our title sponsor, Jamie Koza in the dugout. And, I just thanking him and his group is just not enough for what he stepped in and did. I mean, I wish I had video camera of him prepping and giving us our prize packs, because he was a man on a mission and wanting to give back to the anglers, and it truly did. So I'm definitely grateful for all the support there, as well as Shane Culture and Automotion Customs out of Warner Robins. Those two gentlemen definitely stepped up, and looking forward to building that relationship and working with them and Bass Nation going into next year. But ultimately, another person that I cannot thank enough is our president for Georgia Bass Nation, and that's Mr. Tony Beck and his team and his board for welcoming us from the go. It's been it's fairly smooth transition in coming aboard with Georgia Bass Nation and their support and things that they have done. The plaques and the trophies that we gave away, we were still building our side of the finance, but Tony Beck and his team stepped up and covered those costs and got us what I feel are some very nice plaques, and Jason a very nice trophy. So thanks again to him, and I look forward to building this thing. Any support, or if there's anything that we can do for the anglers, I'm always open. Just shoot me a text. I'd love to hear it and love to improve on it. So thanks again for having us on, and I appreciate y'all's time.
Yeah, man. Well, guys, we appreciate it. We won't keep you any longer. We're going to get into some tournament recap, but thanks for being here, and I'm sure we'll see y'all down the road, and we're gonna cover the Classic too. So hopefully I'll see one of y'all back up here winning that event. So we'll see you soon, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your time, guys.
All right, another great show. Adam, you're a natural at hosting. I should have just sent you all these numbers.
Hop on board.
Yeah, man. Well, we're going to get into some tournament recaps. It's closing the year out. A lot of clubs are having their, classics and TOCs and all sorts of stuff. So we'll get right into it. So Yakka Bass out in California had their TOC on Lodi Lake. 54 anglers.
Okay.
I'm going to mess up all of these names. Sorry, guys. Damian Tao, 85 and a half. Gino Magno, 84 inches. And Kong Her with 83 and a half. And a notable mention, Greg Blanchard, one of my favorite YouTubers to follow. 4th place on that one with 81 and 3/4. So good job to those guys. Here's a good one. You might know a little bit about this one. CKT had their event on Percy Priest with 29 anglers, and I think Adam Reiser won that event. That was all Adam. He's on a winning streak, man. You're on a hot streak. You need to keep it rolling.
Yeah. Kept that crankbait in my hand, man. It was cranking them up that day.
Heck yeah. I'm going to have to get you to show me the ins and outs on all that.
Yeah, you just cast it and wind it. That's about it.
Yeah, that's all I do anyway. So he had 54 on that one. And is it Garrett or Jared? Garrett?
I just call him G. He's just Big G to me.
All right. So G had 50. It was a 3-fish tournament, right?
Yep. Thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Zach Powell coming third with 48. So good job to you. Good job to those guys for having that one. Grassroots Bass Yakking had their 2-day championship at Shakamak State Park. No clue how you say that. 43 anglers. Brian Sparks had the win with that one, 130 and a quarter in 2 days. It was a tough event numbers-wise because it's 5-fish tournaments. So we had Justin Kivett had 128 for 2nd place, and Eric Stansberry 3rd with 127 and 3/4. Moving on, Delaware Paddle Sports Kayak Fishing. It was a public, any public water kind of deal. They had 36 guys in that one. Dennis Campbell came away with the win with 93 inches on that. Mark Kessinger, 75 and a half, and 3rd place, Jesse Schrader with 73 and 3/4. Changed it up a little bit here. I threw in some saltwater stuff.
Okay.
These guys tournaments pop up. So the Low Country Kayak Anglers Battle of Paradise charity event on the Wando River. So it's a combo event, one redfish, one speckled trout. They had 41 anglers. Dave Jaskowicz had 49 and a half for his 2. Devin Green had 2nd place, 45 and 3/4 for his 2. And Stephen Trainer had 44 and a half for his 2 fish. And we had another one like that I saw pop up that I wanted to include. I saw Mr. Dwayne Wally had fished the event himself, and that's what I had never heard of it. But it was the Fallen Tide 15 in Louisiana. I didn't see which body of water they were fishing, but they had 87 guys come out for that, and they were doing a Cajun slam, which is 1 redfish, 1 speckled trout, 1 flounder.
I think I've ordered that before at a seafood restaurant.
That's what I thought. It sounds good.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just brought all that back. I'd have been down.
Yeah.
But Douglas Murphy had 67 and a half for his 3. Matthew Carr, 2nd place, is 62. And Jonathan Carter, 61 in 3rd place. And looking down through that, a bunch of guys caught all 3, which is super impressive to me to go out and have to, in 1-day tournament, flip to 3 different species and 3 different ways to target fish. So I don't know too much about that, but I know fishing for flounder is a little bit different than fishing for like redfish. That's as far as I know on that. So it just kind of blows my mind that that many guys were able to do, catch that limit.
Yeah, they know how to get those saltwater fish. That's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to give it a shot. Shout out to Dustin Nichols. On our podcast, I think it's Chasing the Tide. I always get the name of his wrong, and I'm sorry, Dustin, but any of you saltwater guys are interested in getting into that, you need to check out his segment of our podcast. He does some really cool coverage.
Yeah, enjoyed meeting Justin last weekend at Del Hollow too. It was fun getting to talk to him and hang out with him.
You gotta like old doo-doo.
Yeah.
He's a hammer. He can fish for everything. Like
sort of sounds like
he's always running in the top in the reds tournaments, and then he can turn around and hurt your feelings in the bass fish too. Now he's Texas guy, probably why. Which I say that he came down and we had 2 days of fishing on him, and then he still smoked us on Del Hollow. So, but he didn't smoke Adam. Adam won. But so getting back to it, we got 3 more back to bass fishing. Mio had their Ender on Erie championship. They only had 11 guys show up for that. I saw the list. They had, I think it was around 25 or 30 that were invited because it's an invitational. But 11 guys showed up. Aaron Stahlbaum had 171. It was a 2-day 5-fish limit tournament. He
Okay.
took the win with that. John Warshaw had a 165 and 3/4 for second, and Robert Waker had a 163 for third. So congrats to those guys. They had some good days, putting that together. The PCK BC, I could not find what their club stands for. Sorry, guys, but they had a classic in Tenor Rock, Florida. Dustin Barrow had 99.5, so he had a killer day, which it sounds like an average day for most Florida guys down there. They're always putting up the big numbers.
Right.
John Fuchs had 93 inches, and Russ Kennedy with third and 88.5. Another killer day. And then last but not least, Queen City Kayak Anglers had their TOC on Sharon Harris Lake. Chris Goodwin got the win with that one, 152.25. Matt Hodge had second with 136, and Mike Hicks third with 130.25. So congrats to all those people. If I missed your tournament, I'm sorry. We usually cap it at 25 unless there's championships going on right now. But I think I got everybody this weekend. And like normal, if you want us to talk about your club, or you got a guest you want us to have on, or anything related to tournament fishing, hit us up. So right before we go, I'm going to pick a winner real quick on the giveaway.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm going to help get you in touch with Jason. So I'm going up here. So Kevin Renner, if you're still listening, I'm going to get you in touch with him. You're my pick for the winner. So if you're
congrats,
still in
Kevin.
here, hit a comment real quick. Let me know. Message me on Facebook. And if not, I'm going to write your name down right here. We will make it happen. I will get you Jason will get you your gift card and take care of your entry fee for the dugout in November. So for the Tri-State thing. So congrats to that, man. But that's it, guys. Oh, I got new comments. He's still in here? Oh, yeah, he's still in here. Awesome, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, and congrats on that. Free entry fees worth it, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
Well, guys, thanks for sticking with us. And Adam, thanks again for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you on more. You're natural at the co-hosting, so I appreciate it like anything. And we will see y'all next Monday. Later.